This election is so important that you vote by mail. The governor passed a resolution that you need to vote by mail this year. It's so important that each and every one of you get out and vote.
Hello friends, neighbors, fellow Secaucusites. My name is Michael Harper. I'm a lifelong Secaucus resident. I also happen to be the clerk of the Hudson County Board of Elections. Board of Elections is a 6-member board, 3 Democrats, 3 Republicans, appointed by the governor, and we count the votes in Hudson County. I just want to speak to you a little bit today about the importance of this election and so some of the intricacies and the peculiarities that go with this pandemic election. We should start probably general on some of the issues. How is this election being held, and why is it being held this way, which I know is a question to a lot of people. This election is a primarily vote-by-mail election. There will be other options for voting, which I'll get into in a little bit, but we are really encouraging the use of vote-by-mail ballots. I get a lot of questions from a lot of people, why? Why are we doing it this way? The reason is this, and people come to me constantly. We could stand online at CVS, we could stand online at Walmart. Why can't we stand online to vote? The issue was this, and without defending anybody's, I'm answerable to the law, as all of us are, and this was the governor's ruling on how we were going to do this. I do understand as an election official why he would make that call. I feel like many of us do, if this election were held tomorrow or next Tuesday, let's get the machines out and vote the way we always vote. The problem is the governor had to make that call 3 months ahead of time, and nobody really knew at that point what 3 months from now would hold. And while you can wait online at CVS and Walmart and Target, if on October 28th we're in another real lockdown situation where people are not allowed to publicly gather, you could not make that right at the end of October and open up polls, and you would have successfully disenfranchised 6 million people in the state of New Jersey. So that is why the governor really pushed the vote-by-mail issue this year. I hear all the time too, we have no problem with vote-by-mails, but why can't we vote on the machine? There is a reason for that. If you're familiar with New Jersey voting, the way you'll be voting in person, if that is your choice this election, is called a provisional ballot. That's not a new thing. We always have provisional ballots. The most common use of provisional ballots is when someone applied for a vote by mail but didn't receive it, didn't send it back, didn't fill it out. That's fine. That is the way. Once someone receives a vote by mail in the polling place, there is no way for a poll worker to know whether or not you've received that vote by mail. And that's why we give you a provisional ballot. The provisional ballot is provisional until we vet it and make sure you haven't voted in another way. The provisional ballot is a way to make sure that people only vote once. The machine becomes almost useless on an election day once you've sent everyone a vote by mail. We will have one machine at each polling location in Secaucus and across the county. That is for ADA disabled voters only. People will be asked to sign an affidavit stating flatly that they cannot vote on a paper ballot, and for that reason they need to use the machine with the audio component or the press buttons. As an election official, guys, I know a lot of us are creatures of habit. I'm a machine voter. I go to my polling place, most every election. I have voted by mail in the past, but I like to go, as all people in New Jersey do. Our districts are small and neighborhood-based. It's a great sense of community and camaraderie. You get to see some neighbors you haven't seen, those poll workers who you know for years and years. I understand all that. This is a moment in time when we're asking everyone. I'm telling you as an election official, if you want your vote counted correctly and reflected in election night results here in Hudson County and in New Jersey, fill out that vote by mail when you get it. Put it in a drop box. We have a drop box in Secaucus behind Town Hall at the police entrance door off the parking lot. I think everyone's familiar with. If you drop that in there, we, the Board of Elections, pick that up on a daily basis. We'll get your ballot within 24 hours. We'll begin processing. We've received the county about 45,000 ballots back, between 40 and 45 as of today, I believe, out of 370 sent around throughout Hudson County. We are processing those ballots, comparing signatures as we speak, and we expect we can start counting 10 days early before the election, start running those ballots through our scanning systems. We are aiming to have 80 to 85% of our ballots counted by election night to release at 8 o'clock on election night. that is the best way for you to get your vote in and counted and reflected with most of New Jersey's votes when they're released on election night. As I said, I live here in Secaucus. I just received my vote by mail myself, still sealed. I just wanted to open it right here for all of you, so to show you what's inside and try and help you avoid some of the common mistakes, because there are issues with the paper ballot. The problem is the paperwork, and people do, if you don't fill it out completely, don't sign where it has to be signed, that is an issue for us. Now, I will explain when we get to the signatures. If we don't like your signature, if your signature looks off, we're going to send you a remedy letter before we would reject it. We're going to send you a letter that if you fill out the information on there and send it back, it will remedy your bad signature. You'll give us a new signature that will become your signature of record, and we will count your ballot. So when you open your vote by mail ballot, there is some extra stuff in there and some very important stuff. This notice goes throughout the county and is showing where all 17 drop boxes are in the county. This is a letter from your county executive, Junior Maldonado, about explaining some of the same stuff I'm speaking about today. The county clerk also includes a full-color brochure that explains how to go about filling out with pictures, that explains how to go about filling out a vote by mail ballot. If I have one piece of advice, tip for you as an election official, please sit down at a table and fill it. I think we all share the idea that voting is an important thing. It's more important than 2 minutes signing on your knee in the car. Take 2 minutes, sit down at your kitchen table, look at your ballot, fill your ballot out properly. This is obviously one of the more important parts of what comes in it. This is your ballot this year. Make sure you turn it over. You have some public questions on the back. Fill in those circles completely, please. Fill in the whole circle. Our system we set the sort of limits on our system, so we'll catch an X or a check mark through the oval. But help us out and help yourself. The short way to make sure your vote is counted is to fill in that circle completely. These are the 3 pieces that are most important. Those others are informational and good, but these 3 pieces really are the most important things about getting your ballot counted. This is the outer envelope that's going to come back to us. We can put that aside for a second. This is the inner envelope with the certification sheet on the front. Your completed ballot goes into your inner envelope. These are all peel and stick, so you peel that off and seal that. Do not detach. We leave that certification on. I know that makes some people nervous because your signature is going to be on here in one moment. You say, why am I, my ballot is attached to my name. What happens when it gets back to us is we lay this ballot out with your signature of record, and we compare those 2 signatures. At that point, when we compare those 2 signatures and know that's you, we do pull that cert off, what we call stripping the ballot, and that leaves this anonymous envelope that goes to a second room where it's opened and a third room where the ballot is removed and it's counted. So voting by mail is a safe, reliable form of voting. There is so much information out there now and so much of the gaslighting of a form of voting we've been doing for years. It's sort of insulting to the 5 states that do their voting entirely by mail. 5 states, interestingly enough, pretty high on the list of voter participation states where voter turnout is highest. So voting by mail works. It is, it's not in our culture in New Jersey. We like going to vote, and we'll get back to that sometime soon. I certainly believe that and hope it, as I think we all do. But just as a final thing, when I was talking about sitting at that kitchen table, this cert, important to fill out the information on this. Your name, your address printed up there, and your signature at that red X. That is the signature we are going to compare the signature we have on record and know that you're who you claim to be. Those couple lines at the bottom are for an assister. If you assist someone with a ballot, please fill that out. That goes a long way. If we see a deteriorating signature or a signature that doesn't quite match, but there's an assister on there, that's going to help us say, this is still the person. They just need a little help nowadays. So that is how vote by mails work. As I said, you will have some other voting options. If you go to a polling place, it's going to be on another form of paper. Please, I want to say a special thank you to all our poll workers who always work very hard, but this time more than ever, we had a certain amount of potential personal risk to themselves. They do a great job. I do the poll worker training. They are instructed and expected to be kind and professional to you. I ask that you extend that courtesy to them. They are good people doing a public service right now at a tougher time than ever. Any other questions about this election, I would really point you to the Hudson County Clerk's website, hudsoncountyclerk.org. His elections division has a ton of information, more about that in-person voting, about how you can track a ballot once you've sent one in to see that we've received it. That has contact information for myself, my office's contact information for basically all of the Hudson County election offices, the clerk's office, the superintendent of elections office, and my own, the Board of Elections. My email is mharper, Harper, at hcnj.us. You can certainly reach out to us there as well if you have any election-related questions, or grab me at CVS or Dunkin' Donuts, always around. That's what I do. Love to help, love the town of Secaucus, and happy to be here working for all of you. Thank you. Get out and vote.